Yay to this.
Yeah, girl, you got me right here. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
absolutely. When we first meet her, I was like, oh, she's gonna end up with old boy in that awful house. But like the true star, she rises from the ashes. Talk about, first of all, the physical, like you got the role, you're like, yay, and then you're like, ooh, hold on now. We gotta look like a gladiator. So what did your training and your preparation look like?
You know, our nutrition and our fitness team, they definitely were amazing. And I feel like I have a very competitive side to me, and I always want to be the best at what I do, no matter what. And so training with these guys that had, been there prior to me showing up on set and were sizing me up as an outsider and definitely did not fully accept me in the beginning of filming because I was just a girl who came in late. Right. So um, that actually paralleled the journey of what Achille is experiencing. So having that experience where both of us were in this situation where we're in a world where nobody really understood us, wanted us, and don't really know what to expect from us, gave me the opportunity to be able to defy expectations, to find my inner strength, to move past my discomfort of being in, this clothes and these worlds and with these weapons that I've never used before. But I tried not to push away from that. I tried to lean into the discomfort of that because that's literally what Achille is going through.
I will say that when she entered the arena, I was like, let's go,
Mm.
right? And I think also I love the be obviously she's strong and she's powerful, but there's also vulnerability to her having to accept that, she's enslaved and she's with all these men, and there's not even the women are against her, and she is trying to hold on, to a little bit of herself. Can you talk about that? Because we are missing sometimes that she is, enslaved and in new language and everything, and still also mourning the loss of her family. You know what I mean? That explains why she's so adverse to leaning into the training at first.
Well, sometimes when we have difficult circumstances, I believe that it's all about the mental battle that we go through. And for Achilles, her journey is no different. She comes into the world breaking free of chains. So it's not necessarily about her being slave. I don't think she sees herself as a slave, and she doesn't come from a society in which people will accept themselves to be slaves. They are warriors, they're fierce, they are powerful, they are strong. And sometimes we don't realize that those defaults that we have built in us based on our history are what are required when we come against challenges and obstacles. So I believe that Achilles, as a part of this journey, is discovering those things she has inside from her history, from her past, that she's going to have to confront in order to be able to break through and reach the power and the glory that is potentially inside of her if she does.
The other thing too is she's starting to put together that there is usefulness in embracing this new life.
Right.
Victory brings more freedom, brings choice, brings agency. Can we also talk about that? Because I think that's why the men were so adverse. It's not the fact that they didn't think she could fight, but here's another person and she's got something that they don't have, because you need novelty, you need a character to be desired and to be championed in the ring other than just skill. And that's what they were resenting too. Here she is, and why is he so keen on her? We've been here, we're putting in the work. Can you talk about that too? Because the men weren't willing to admit, their whole thing was like, it's easier to say we don't like her because she's a woman and quote unquote inferior, instead of saying she has something, she is going to intrigue people. We don't have that. All we have is our skill.
Yeah, I think what you said, bang on. Achilles, comes into this world as an outsider and an underdog. And the thing that allows you to be able to rise above difficult circumstances is your reason why. And for her, she has such a clear purpose and focus that drives her forward to be able to survive no matter what. And I believe the people that she encounters in the Ludus don't necessarily know that about her, but she has to use everything, not just physicality, but nimbleness, quick-wittedness to be able to navigate this world that sees her as an outsider and to be there and stand up against a world of men. But I believe it's her purpose and her reason why that drives her forward and gives her that gravitas that she needs to be able to rise above in this world.
Well, I just love this for you, and I love when she was came into arena, I was like, yay, let's
Yeah.
go, let's kick butt, And I think it's also a wonderful arc to just to have a woman that's strong, but like I said, is she also has different layers to herself, and I can't wait for the audience to go on this journey with you. Much success to you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And it's been an honor being able to play the first Black female gladiatrix in scripted television. I'm excited about creating that archetype.
Absolutely, as you should be. Thank you again. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, great to talk to you.
Claudia, I like your character. She is just, one time for the ladies. She's just in the mix with the men. She's deciding who gets to be up front and center. And she also doesn't have a problem dressing the men down. Talk about that because we don't see these types of characters unless it's strictly in service to their husbands in these types of series.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we see with Kasutia and Viridia and the women in this iteration of Spartacus is the difference between history and herstory. So here we are finally getting to tell stories about women and the women who really throughout history have been behind the man with such limitations on what they can do and how they can move through the world with agency. And here we're really getting to see behind the curtain on all of these women. Oh, I've got chills. It's just really exciting to sort of bridge what once was and why it didn't work and what happens to these women as a result, of the limitations and the confines of the societal constructs. And Kusuti is mysterious, but I also think at the same time there's room for her to sort of, once she establishes some sense of safety for herself and her daughter, maybe she'll soften and maybe we'll see what her really unmet desires are. And maybe she'll get to fulfill some of those, maybe she won't. But in the meantime, she's not going to quit and she's not going to stop fighting.
And India, your character too, she's be scheming a little bit and letting people know. And again, but in a different way. Whereas Claudia's character is like right up front and lets people know, like, I'm running things. Your character is, we first meet her, we believe her to be so sweet, but the claws soon come out. How much fun was it to play her?
Oh, so much fun. I mean, to track her journey through the season, I mean, to play that was just such a gift. I mean, she's such a rich, all of the women and all the characters in this world are so rich and nuanced. And I think to try to play a character that's sort of in the throes of grief, kind of at the beginning, and we see her throughout the season step into her power again and re-enter society, and she starts to bloom. And with that, I think she then starts to question those around her. She starts to question the game, the inevitable political game that her mother is so heavily involved in, and she starts to question, do I even want to play this? Or if we have to, can it be played a different way? And by meeting certain characters and having certain experiences, we really see her kind of step into her strength and go, you know what, fine, I will engage, but it's going to be on my terms. And that was so much fun.
The other thing too is what I like about both of these women is they understand that the men are really the idiots, right? And they understand that, that in order for them to get the things that they want and that they need, they have to let these men think that they're as brilliant as they deem themselves to be, which is kind of like something that we as women still have to do today sometimes, or you're like, oh yeah, that was your idea. And you're like, not really. But in order to get the thing done, we're going to let you think that you're great. Talk about that a little bit. Even though this is taking place in a different time, we still have some of the same struggles. Let's start with you, India.
Yes, certainly. I mean, the women of this period were certainly certainly as well, the upstairs downstairs really is so, she's very much a product of her kind of upbringing. She knows that now she is once again an unmarried woman, and that that will mean she has to marry again, and that her union with whichever man, probably her mother and father choose, will completely dictate her future. And I think faced with that, as I said, she starts to really examine what it is that she wants and her place in society, and what is expected of her as a woman. And certainly witnessing Achilles and having that completely, I think, spark something new in her. It really makes her realize, what actually could I be, or what changes could I make to my life? And that certainly was something really, really exciting to delve into.
Yeah, it's wild that it's still, as you say, so active, right? My great aunt, one of the pieces of advice she gave to me, having been single for 60 years of her life, she said, if you do get married, Claudia, make sure you always make the man think that you need them. I know you've got it all figured out and you already know everything, but just pretend. And I thought, oh my God, then maybe I don't want to get married. If I have to play that game, how exhausting and boring. So it's wild to see, that Gillian Anderson, her character says something in a movie, I think, or a TV show, where she says men's greatest fear is that women will mock them, and women's greatest fear is that the men will kill them. And I think that's what you find in this world, is the fragility of the male ego and the necessity of the women in this high stakes environment to survive, let alone thrive. So, these women, if they could just get to a place of relative safety, imagine what they can achieve.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, I enjoyed both of you very much. I can't wait for the
Thank you.
audience to go on the journey with you. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You, sir?
Good. Pleasure to see you.
Oh, you poor thing, having to put up with Ashur. It's-
Listen, there's method in his madness. He's a complicated guy, Ash. He's a complicated guy.
Yes, and I feel like I was saying this to the other gentleman. I feel like your character is like, it's like he's navigating ADHD, where, Asher wants to do this and this and this, and your character is like, how about we complete step one before we
Yeah,
go to step 30, right?
that's such
It's
a
like,
good way of putting it. It's absolutely true. However, the advantage that Asher has, being someone who thinks outside the box, is that he comes up with ideas that Chorus could never come up with. And Chorus comes to understand that, oh yeah, he's not so crazy after all. That's how, men of ambition or people of ambition achieve what they want, is not going down a conventional path. And but for Chorus, it's a rocky road, to put it mildly.
yeah, I always feel like in the back of his mind, when like Asher is like, this is how we're gonna make the house, and then he brings the girl in and we have the next gimmick, and he's like, let's keep the main thing. How about we just win? How about we
Yeah.
just get invited to the thing before we start inviting a woman? And
Yeah.
I love the scene where, the Roman women, they're like, the bourgeoisie are trying to put him in this box like he's beneath them. And he turns around and he lets them know, no, sweetheart, I am a free man. I have free will. I am here
That's right.
because I want to be, which I think is really important, because they are not used to that. They're so used to, for lack of a better word, crapping on people. And for him
Yes.
to be like, no, girl, no, you got the wrong one. Talk about that, because I think that's important and informs who he is and how he sees himself.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, he's not frightened of these people, that's for sure. Because he's the kind of life that he's experienced up to this point. We don't know a huge amount about his backstory, but we know that he began as a slave that won his freedom through endless fights in the arena. So this is a man who isn't cowed by a harsh look or a cutting remark. He's much tougher than that, and he knows these people. He doesn't respect them. But his ambitions tied to Ashes are his focus. And that is early on, certainly, that is all he's interested in. is achieving that. And why he wants to achieve it is another interesting question. You know, do we ever really get to achieve the ambitions that people like this have? Is there ever enough for people like Ashur and Chorus? But one thing I think that leavens that is the relationship that he then establishes with Opita, because that opens a whole different door for him, a whole different world, a world of vulnerability and kindness and tenderness and love. And he's a man who's had his heart closed for so long that when he's given the opportunity to finally open it, he's never going to close that door again. And it's it's really for me the most interesting part for the character.
Oh,
Uh,
I agree. Because at
yeah,
first he doesn't know how to take him. He
no,
really, and rightfully so, because everybody has an angle on the show, let's be honest, right?
sure.
Everybody's trying to use everybody to get what they want. So
Yeah.
he doesn't know how to take it because he's like, well, what's happening here? Like, what do you basically indirectly, right? When they have their first intimate scene, he's more or less with his eyes asking, like, what do you want?
Yes, 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 because you're right. Everyone has an angle, and that guardedness, that fear, based on experience, informs everything that he's doing. But such is the character of Opita that that is broken down, and he does become somebody that he really, really cares about, and that's just such an interesting dramatic journey. Way more interesting than me just staying this kind of grumpy, angry, ambitious guy. That there's more to him than that.
And I
Yeah.
have to say, I have to give you guys credit because there's a beauty and there's an honesty in this journey that they're taking. And I think both of you are bringing so much credit to that. We're getting
Oh,
to see the humanity in these
thank you.
men, besides, of course, all the brutality, the infighting, backstabbing, and all the other craziness. So yeah, I
Well,
think you did a really
yeah,
good
thank
job.
you. I appreciate that because I think it is one of the few truly tender, genuine relationships in the show in a weird kind of a way. And certainly from an intimate sexual side, it's portrayed differently, I think, to other situations that you may encounter.
100%. Thank you so much for your time and best of luck with everything.
Oh, thanks very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Well, this poor girl. I'm like, oh, she's in love with the most challenged man. I'm like, girl, what we doing?
I mean, but she's kind of, very similar. So,
Yeah, and it just goes to show that, yeah, it is true. They're both, not exactly what we want to call our cup of tea.
right.
But as I was saying to the other women, the women on this show are not wilted flowers. They
No.
use the relationship with the men to get what they want. It's
Hmm.
just that the men aren't too bright to understand that the women are in on the gag. Like they
Yeah.
understand. They're not, the men are like, oh, my wife is just following, but not understanding that it's really the women that are like, I'm going to use his ego and
Right.
selfishness towards my advantage. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, that's a really great observation. And I think what's important here is that given the society of ancient Rome, where, men depended on, not men, women depended on men, and they kind of had to fall in line. These women have to find a lot of agency within their situation. And so, like you said, it's like I'm being told what to do, but within this, how do I maneuver and operate to get the thing that I ultimately want for myself or for my family? Or, you know, yeah, I think you really nailed it.
I also feel like they don't always like each other either,
Mm.
right? But they're like, it's better the devil I know than the devil I don't. So it's kind
Right.
of like that type of thinking, which I kind of think this idea that women were always kumbaya is I think is not true, and it's not even back then. But again, understanding like, I don't like you, you don't like me, but we have a friendly in common. So how can
Hmm.
we how can we play chess? And I think and they're honest about it too, because normally you see in these types of shows where they're like, oh, I love you, you're so great, you're so pretty, and then like the moment the person's at earshot, it's like, I can't stand you. But in this, they're really like, I don't like you, you don't like me, but girl, let's work together
But
to
we
take
have a common
her.
goal.
Yeah, exactly. Can you talk about, because it is a lot of fun to get to be bad on purpose, right? You don't have to be cute and polite all the time. How much fun have you had with that aspect of the character?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things I love about Cornelia is that she can just be who she is. She doesn't have to apologize. She doesn't have to ask permission. And if she's terrible, you just have to take it.
Yeah, and I also love she's blatantly honest. Like if she likes something she likes, she's like, oh, this is beneath me, or this food is
Yeah.
crap, this wine is
Yeah.
crap, and you're crap. You know what I mean?
That's the luxury of her status is,
Yeah.
people have to just take it. Yeah.
Also, I think, the other thing too is understanding that sometimes the nastiness is also a mask, because as the gentleman also noted that if you are weak in this world, it can be the end of you. Like you
Mhm.
can't show your cards, and there's not a lot of people you can go and cry on their shoulder without them using
Correct.
it against it. So talk about that too. Like some of this is also a defense mechanism, because I can't show my cards.
I think, with Cornelia, I think it's a little bit of the opposite. I think that when she's pleasant and nice, it's a defense mechanism. It's more she has to play the part to get what she wants. But when you see her in the villa talking down to people or just behaving the way she generally does, she grew up so privileged and so entitled. So to her, that's just a normal day. That's she's very classist, right? Like if you're not at a certain level, like you're beneath her notice, you're beneath her caring about anything about you. So sadly, I think, yeah, the nasty side is more of the norm for her.
Well, I want to say I really love that the women aren't like nice and gamey, and that they are not afraid to show their claws, and especially in front of the men, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And have agency in this show, and I think it makes it so much fun to see all of that.
for
But
sure.
thank you so much for your time. And again, I really am enjoying how the women are like, not taking any mess, which is
Oh,
really
I'm so
nice to
glad.
see. Absolutely. Best of luck with everything. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Girl power. No
I
shame.
know because before you showed up, it was Tanika. I'm like, Tanika's interviewing us. What's going on?
Hilarious. All right, Nick. We thought I was like, Asher. I'm like, wow, excuse me. And then I'm like, the man was dead. Like dead. Not, I'm
Yeah.
like, the man was decapitated. And then I'm like watching this and I go, of course, Roman mythology. He
Yeah.
went down to the dungeon and come back. But sir, you have not learned your lesson in some things. You think
Okay.
you'd have a little bit of Hebrews, right? Isn't that what the gods were saying? That was why you were given a second chance, and here you are being as awful as ever. Can we talk about that a little bit, Nick?
Well, you have
That
to be more.
not
You have to be more specific, Katya. You have to be more specific.
how you treat your gladiators, how you treat your slaves, because
What's wrong
hello,
with the way I treat my client? I treat him very well. I think I treat him quite beautifully, actually. Do
I
you
just
remember, Katya? They pissed in my food. Do you remember that? I didn't do that to my gladiators. Remember that? They pissed in my food and barely. So, in perspective, I'm doing pretty well.
And Steven, listen, I'm looking at you and on the show, and I'm like, who is this beautiful man that they kind of like, but also you are like the balance, to Asher. And I know that I just feel like in real life, he's just like this man. Like, why is this man so insufferable? Why is he like not like ever centered and focused, right? It's like he has ADHD in power, and your character is just like, let's keep the main thing, sir, right? Can you talk a little bit about that, because you two are polar, a little bit opposites in that way?
Yeah, well, writing for Nick and this character, really Ashur, going back to the original series, he's the way he is because he never got the respect or love that he craved. The man really just needed a hug, and he never got it. Instead, he got constantly abused and slighted, and he turned bitter.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of this series, he's still carrying a lot of that with him. But slowly you see him start to change by the introduction of certain new characters.
Yeah.
And really, the interesting thing for me about this iteration of the show is, can a man like Ashur become a better person? He wants to deep down, but society around him, particularly the Roman elites, want to keep him down.
Yep.
And I'm okay with him being mean to them. It's just the people that he needs to help get him the things that he wants to have, like nobility and respect.
Yeah.
Sir, again, let's keep the main thing the main thing. Like you need these people in order to execute your wants and desires. I mean, absolutely piss on all the Romans because they backstab everybody. And also the thing is, I will give you credit, Stephen, the women are just, if not more treacherous than the men.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, Katja, you have to keep in mind, those are different times. There's no room for any error. I mean, literally, you will die. So there's not the slightest. So when Ashur is, I always thought Ashur was a great chess player. So if he's treating someone a certain way, there's a reason for it. He doesn't do it just because he's doing it. There's a reason for it. He knows where he came from, and he knows where he's going. He lives with Spartacus. He lived with Gannicus and Crixus. He's known the Roman. He knows the challenges in hand. Like, he knows how dangerous this world is. A lot of these people don't. His gladiators don't realize this right now. And that's a rude awakening. You have in this world, you either deliver or be delivered. And if they don't deliver, it's his neck. So there's no room for error. But having said all of this, by this episode 6 till 10, you're going to be a little bit surprised.
I hope so, because I want him to win, but at the same time, I'm like, sir, if you don't calm down, it doesn't get better.
If only I can afford that luxury of calming down, and as the character, it's not there.
Yeah, but again, it's super entertaining and super fun. And thank you so much for your time. And best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Kat. I appreciate your time, Doug. Thank you.
Absolutely.